174% in all the priority areas given to him on assumption of office. When he came, he was given 8 priority areas, and he got 174%. His Excellency Engineer Abdullahi Isli came with the National Economic Development Strategy. In his first term, he had a retreat, and he gave 21 articles of faith, and he said, just do 3 of it for his cabinet. We're still to give the score for everyone after 6 years, but I tell you that our guest speaker got 174% in all the 8 priority areas given to him on assumption of office. That is what is called exceeding all expectations. So in his 4 years as tenure of minister, he designed, he executed a record-breaking 4,366 projects and programs. He also established the very first ever National Artificial Intelligence and Robotics Center in Africa. There are 4 more pages that I am sure you would say, Malam Yakubu Lamai, please don't read. Can we give the guest speaker, highly honored, distinguished, illustrious, meritorious son of Nigeria, of Africa, one in whom this country is well pleased, and our governor is dutifully, respectfully appreciative of your presence. My singular honor to call to the podium Professor Isa Ali Ibrahim Pantami, our guest speaker to speak on digital economy and the ICT, the AGWSI model. So, you're most welcome.
Get seated, please. Our respected brother that we converge here to honor, the governor of Nasarawa State, His Excellency Engineer Abdullahi A. Sule, Speaker, State House of Assembly, Honorable Dalladi Jatau, members of the State Assembly here present, members of the State Executive Council here present, Secretary to the State Government, special advisors to His Excellency, permanent secretaries, senior government officials, the acting rector of MUSTAPHA AGWSI Polytechnic, Dr. Ibrahim Dauda, the members of his management team here present, academics here present, the national president of the alumni here with us, Comrade Aronye, Aluta, Victoria, we, ladies and gentlemen of the press, all other protocols duly and respectfully observe. Good morning to all of you, and may Allah's peace, mercy, and blessings be upon you. We converge on this campus, Isa Mustapha AGWSI Polytechnic, in order to celebrate one of us, a world-class industry expert, respected industry veteran, distinguished policy maker, a technocrat par excellence, our respected brother and friend, His Excellency Engineer Abdullahi A. Sule, the governor of Nasarawa State. We are here purposely in order to celebrate him, to honor, and also to get associated with all his achievements. His success is our success. Your Excellency, we are here to celebrate your success in Nasarawa State. We are very proud of you. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to continue to guide and guard you and continue to make use of you to take Nasarawa State to greater heights. As we converge here purposely to celebrate him, to discuss some of his major achievements, particularly in the area of vocational education and training, skills development, economic development, among others. The theme, as I amended, is economic and skills development in Africa. Case study of Nasarawa State under the leadership of Engineer Abdullahi Usman. His Excellency has unprecedented achievements when it comes to skill development, economic development, among others. Some of his major projects are very dear to all of us. As stated by the acting rector, if I am to mention some of them superficially, number one, the way he integrated this polytechnic from a polytechnic by name to a polytechnic in the sense of the word. When there were no relevant courses of engineering, no facilities, most of the things being done were theoretical. But today, because of his investment and passion for vocational and skills development, he spent a lot in order to integrate and advance the polytechnic, at least to an African standard that can compete with polytechnics even in South Africa and North Africa. I spoke with some officials of this institution even prior to my arrival, and I was really amazed by the investment His Excellency did when it comes to facilities in this very important polytechnic. And definitely and undoubtedly, this is the only way out to our economic challenges in Nigeria. In addition, His Excellency also did a lot, invested massively in Wing Abdullahi Vocational and Skills Acquisition Institute. Last year, I was in Kiana here for a lecture, and after the lecture, I was accompanied by senior government officials, including the then SSG, to visit the Wing Abdullahi Vocational Institute, where I spent a moment there to visit so many departments, and I also interacted with the trainees in that institution. And still I have some images and some interviews I conducted with the trainees. This is an excellent investment. And this is one of the best strategies to navigate the challenges that engulf our country, Nigeria. The challenges of unemployment on one hand and unemployability on the other. Because our problem is not only unemployment, but rather we have the problem of unemployability, where students are enrolled into institutions. After their graduation, they cannot be employed. Even if you employ them as engineers, they will automatically become administrators. As computer scientists, they will only become administrators. because there is no any technical ability to do anything hands-on. Thirdly, I could recall vividly that His Excellency, because of his passion for ICT skills, digital skills, when he became the governor of Nasarawa State on the 29 May 2023, in less than 50 days in office, he visited us in Abuja, attended our event, engaged us extensively and intensively on how to work together to navigate the challenges of other Nasarawa State and support him in skills development. And this is less than 50 days in office, but he was with us, engaging us rigorously in order to ensure that skills were developed in Nasarawa State. Furthermore, his passion for women and youth, empowerment for women and youth, is highly commendable because of the initiatives he comes up with. Furthermore, His Excellency is so passionate about changing the mindset of our youth. We need to change the mindset of our youth, that degrees are important, definitely, because of the dynamic nature of the modern work environment is not enough. We must get ready challenges of the labor market, and the environment is very dynamic, and we must equip ourselves with the relevant skills so that we could be able at least to put food on our tables. This could be natural with His Excellency. However, if you look at his background educationally, you will strongly agree with me that from his background, it clearly shows to us that he must be so passionate about vocational training, economic development, and skills development as well. His Excellency was in the Technical College, Bukuru, in Plateau State. By attending Technical College in his secondary education is a clear indication that there is no doubt he was trained to become so passionate about that. He attended Plateau State Polytechnic. The nature of Polytechnic, particularly then, was entirely different with polytechnics today. Because even graduates of vocational training centers, junior secondary school then, after graduation, immediately they established their centers and they recruited people working under them, not to talk of polytechnics. After Polytechnic, he left Nigeria for the United States of America, where he attended Indiana State University, not Texas as mistakenly mentioned by my good friend and brother of the event. He attended Indiana State University for his degree in mechanical engineering and also MSc in engineering before he moved to Texas in order to work in the oil and gas industry. Look at the educational background and look at how he switched to oil and gas industry immediately after completing his studies successfully. He came to Nigeria and he also served as the group managing director of Dangote Sugar. So if you look at his background, when it comes to work experience and education, you will strongly believe with me that these achievements will guide him to rule and lead the state effectively and make sure that he leaves behind an everlasting legacy. This is in summary about our respected brother, His Excellency Abdullahi A. Sule, the governor of Nasarawa State, that is here with us. And there are many, many unprecedented achievements that he has been recording here. I only mentioned some of them superficially in order to show to us that this is what quality leadership is all about. Quality leadership is not just about extravagance. Quality leadership is about training, orienting and reorienting our people. Quality leadership is about investing today for the future generation to harvest. This is what quality leadership is all about. Quality leadership is to train people, spend for them, invest for them, so that by tomorrow they will support others. Leadership is not all about giving it for him today to spend and come back tomorrow. This is only a fire brigade approach. But the real solution is to invest, train our people, reorient them, so that in the future they will be job providers rather than job seekers. So that our youth will become potential employers rather than potential employees. And this is what leadership is all about. Coming back to Africa, as I said, in order to portray that what His Excellency has been doing is the best model being used globally in order to address the challenges of unemployment and the challenges of unemployability. If you take Africa, for example, this is a continent with approximately 1.5 billion people. In Africa, we contribute 19% to the entire world population. The second most populous continent in the world, after Asia. Our median age in Africa, our average age in Africa is only 19 years. So, and we have the youngest population globally. In addition, in Nigeria, with our population of around 220 to 230 million, our average age is only 18 years. And Nigeria is among the countries that have the youngest population globally. Unfortunately, if you look at it economically, you will discover that the GDP of the United States of America as a country is more than 5 times the GDP of Africa as a continent. According to the International Monetary Fund 2022 report, the GDP of the USA was around 25 trillion USD, followed by China with around 19.9 trillion USD. 4 years ago, it was Germany, but now Japan is the third, Germany fourth, and India fifth, the UK sixth. So if you look at their economy, you will discover that some countries with a population of 160 to 170 million people, their GDP is higher than that of Africa, a continent with a population of 1.5 billion people. And this is highly worrisome, particularly if you can use this population to compute our GDP per head, you will discover that we will continue to struggle as long as we fail to address this challenge of unemployment and the challenge of unemployability. Furthermore, according to the PricewaterhouseCoopers, PwC, in their report in 2019, they conducted a survey where they discovered that the major challenge towards economic development, economic diversification, among others in Africa, the major challenge is lack of skilled workforce. To the extent that the CEOs in Africa that were interviewed during the survey, 97% of them indicated that the organization growth and profitability was hampered, was frustrated due to the lack of skill development in Africa. 97% of them. Furthermore, one of the major challenges being confronted, according to the International Labour Organization, ILO, one of our major challenges in Africa is the fact that we fail to adopt a paradigm shift. Globally today, there is less emphasis on certificates. The world is shifting from certificate-based hiring to skills-based hiring. Employers in developed countries are intimidated by the number of certificates we acquired. BTech degree in computer science, MSc computer science, MBA technology management, PhD computer science. My citation was recited here with all this. This is not what is important. Our certificates are important. They are essential. However, and unfortunately, they are not sufficient. Your certificate could be the source of your employment, but unfortunately, your career progression depends on your training and your skills. Certificate could give you the job, but it cannot retain the job for you. That is the challenge. So we have certificates, and we are all happy that we have them. Our children acquired certificates. Some are still acquiring, but unfortunately, it is not sufficient. Why? Because the world is shifting from certificate-based hiring to skills-based hiring. That is why the global tech giants today, most of them do not care about the institutions you attended. They are more important on what you can bring to the table. And they don't even ask for you. They are more interested in knowing what can you do. Only 3 months ago, Elon Musk announced on his X account that they were looking for people with that excel in coding. And he said that we don't care about your certificate or your university. Just send to us the sample of what you have been doing. That is all what we need. Because certificate is supposed to be like a validation of the skills you acquired. When you have the certificates, and unfortunately you don't have the skills to do the work, then the aim of acquiring certificate has been defeated completely. It has been defeated. Because this certificate is not the target. It's just like you buy a vehicle and they give you your own receipt. That receipt is your certificate. It is an evidence that you own this vehicle. You paid for it. You are the owner. But it is not in any way what you are going to use. It is only a paper documented in order to show that you are the owner of this vehicle. If I take the vehicle away and I leave you with the receipt as a paper, it could not be of benefit to you in any way. So certificates are important. However, we go to schools not because of the certificate, but to go through a training and retraining. And that training is more important than that paper that will be given to us at the end of that training. But today, our focus is mainly on the paper. I'm a graduate. Your son could graduate after his NYSC. As long as you fail to get any employment for him, he will spend 24 hours at home chatting, browsing, watching television, to the extent that he could not be able to buy even broadband. You have to buy for it, for him. This is our situation. This is why I strongly agree that in Nigeria, we have the challenge of unemployment. However, we always fail to recognize that we have another more worrisome challenge, That is the challenge of unemployability. A graduate of electrical engineering, when you employ him, he cannot do the work for you. A graduate of computer science, he cannot write a simple code for you. A civil engineer, building engineer, cannot build a house for you. A mechanical engineer cannot fix his vehicle. Oh, some of you are looking at His Excellency. But because of the background I earlier mentioned with His Excellency, I said, what did I say? I said, Prof, industry expert, industry veteran. So because of this, you can only look at His Excellency and remember the way he is lamenting every day about the challenges I am discussing today. In order to address this challenge, that is what compelled me to write a book, Skills Rather Than Just Degrees. Skills rather than just degrees. We are not undermining degrees as I mentioned in that book, but the wisdom behind writing the book was to confirm to us that degree is not sufficient. It's important, but not sufficient. That degree, if we acquire it, it must be overloaded with skills. Empty certificates are not beneficial. That certificate must be overloaded with skills. And this is what is important. And if you graduate from your university, you will discover that there could be some vacuums when it comes to skills. So you have to go and fill up this vacuum. And it happened to all of us. When I graduated from university in computer science, I had to enroll in Cisco certification to get the hands-on training of even networking and many more, because we couldn't get sufficient training during our degree program. I enrolled in Cisco certification. I obtained up to 4 certifications in Cisco. And I worked in computer center where our main work was on technical training. It is after getting that training, I switched to academic line. But I had to spend more than a year in order to obtain these certifications, because certifications give you more technical training than certificates. In addition, if you look at our economy in Africa today, our economy is natural resources economy. We rely so much on natural resources, like mining taking place here in Nasarawa, oil and gas exploration in South and other parts of the country, natural resources. And unfortunately, most of these natural resources are not refined in Nigeria or in Africa. We are only exporting the raw materials, unfortunately. So it is necessary in Africa to diversify our economy more into manufacturing, digital agriculture, production, among others. These are very important because our economy still to date, it focuses more on the natural resources that are not refined here. Even before the Dangote refinery, we spent so many years in Nigeria. Even our crude oil was exported. And we spent many years importing. We couldn't even explore. We couldn't produce even our own oil and gas here. We were only exporting petroleum. So it is necessary to diversify our economy. And diversification could not be possible without skills. 2 years ago, Dangote himself, Alhaji Aliko Dangote, announced that he had to travel to India, employ and get his employees. He couldn't get the skills he required in Nigeria. And we have millions of graduates looking for jobs. Why? Because there was a huge gap. There was a mismatch between the quality of our graduates and what employers were looking for. This mismatch is being addressed, but it's not sufficient. If you look at one of our challenges in Nigeria in specific and in Africa in general, according to the World Bank, is the fact that today, because of the dynamic nature of modern work environment and also the static nature of our curriculum, it is difficult to use the same curriculum and provide the jobs that are required in the dynamic environment of the modern world. Most of our curricula have been very static. Today in computer science, still in some universities, they are teaching basic programming language. Some they can spend a year teaching Pascal, Fortran, COBOL, and others. There is no harm in introducing this to students, but wasting their times in this era of Industry 4.0, learning this for 4 years is unfortunate. It's unfortunate. So there is a mismatch between the dynamic nature of modern work environment on one hand and the static nature of our curricula. And we have to address this. And these initiatives being implemented by His Excellency is one of the most effective ways to address the issue of mismatch. Let us take some case studies of other countries in Africa, Europe, Asia, and America that deploy similar model previously that is being implemented by His Excellency here in Nasarawa State. In Africa, let us take only one case study, Morocco as a country. Morocco is a middle income economy. One of the 6 countries in North Africa, along with Libya, Egypt, Algeria, and Mauritania and Tunisia. According to the World Bank, Moroccan economy from 2001 to 2019, within the 18 years, their working age population grew by 374,000, while their economy grew by 112,000, meaning their increase in population in the working age group was increasing by 374 people annually, year in, year out, while their economy was only creating 112,000 vacancies. So meaning that year in, year out, their working age population was producing much, much higher than what their economy could accommodate. Because the economy was accommodating 112, while the working age population was growing by 374,000. So there was a shortfall of 262, meaning that their economy was producing less than 1/3 of what their working age population was producing. Moroccan government partook in critical thinking on how to navigate from these challenges, because if care was not taken, it could be a time bomb. What they did was they invested massively in vocational and educational vocational and educational training. They established several vocational centers where, am I permitted to continue? Where they trained and retrained their working age population in vocational training, like this POP design, painting, solar installation, hardware maintenance, software development, artificial intelligence applications development, blockchain technology, cyber security. Their focus was on hands-on training rather than issuing the certificates to their graduates. They were more interested in what their population could do rather than the class of degree they will graduate with. They invested hugely in that area. Interestingly, within shortest possible time, their economy increased by accommodating more working age population, an increase of over 100,000 people annually. And interestingly, this population was not only employed in Morocco, but in Europe, America, and other places. And with this, you will discover there is going to be remittance, which is very important to the economy. At the time that we graduates from Nigeria, endangering our lives, crossing the Mediterranean Sea illegally to sneak into Europe, Spain, France, and others, while people train in Morocco through vocational training and skills development were received in Europe with red carpet. Why? Because of the skills development they partook in. As a graduate of computer science in Nigeria today, as I graduated, if your terminal degree is in Nigeria, tell me how many countries are going to employ you just because of your class of degree. I'm a product of that system. I'm not undermining the system, but I'm trying to be honest. If your terminal degree is in Nigeria, tell me with your PhD in computer science, if it is from Nigeria, how many universities in the UK or France or Germany or US will employ you as an academic to go and teach immediately? Mostly you have to get your terminal degree there to validate what you obtain in Nigeria. It is only in few areas that you will discover that our degrees are recognized in employment in other parts of the world. Mostly it is in admission. You obtain your degree here, you want to enroll in MSc or PhD after your MSc. So mostly after obtaining your terminal degree there, then you will be considered. Otherwise, government can hardly consider you. And many countries and companies can hardly consider us until and unless if you have sufficient work experience where you have been tested that you can deliver. But immediately after your graduation is difficult. But with vocational and skills development, the same model of Morocco or being implemented here, as long as you can do it hands-on, then the question has been answered automatically. That is why today employers are more interested in seeing what you have done rather than in seeing the class of certificate you have obtained. Furthermore, in order to show more trust in skills development in Morocco, China as a country, we know how China is developed today. China as a country in 2019 invested 1 billion USD, 1 billion USD by establishing Muhammad VI Tangier Technology City in Tangier, around their border with Spain, around Mediterranean Sea. They invested 1 billion, 1 billion USD. In Naira, around 1.6 trillion Naira. This is the investment of China in skills development in Morocco. So by implication, they invested with the anticipation of producing more workers in Morocco that can go to any part of the world and get employed. And that serves as another shock observer in addressing the challenges of unemployment, unemployability, among others. In addition, because of that model, countries like Canada established expedited visa processing system for the citizens of Morocco. Because of their skills, their system of visa application is something that is very easy. Why? Because they will contribute to their economy. They are not a burden to Canadian economy. They will contribute. People with skills will contribute to your economy. This is what brought even about categories of visas in America. If you look at the category for innovation, job creation, entrepreneurship, you will discover that more than half of those who apply are from India. Why? Because of their skills development. And because of this model today, the issue of unemployment has reduced significantly in Morocco. At the time it was more than 22%. By implication, almost 1/4 of their population were unemployed or unemployable. But within shortest possible time, they reduced the challenge by more than 10%, that unemployment and unemployability. And now you will discover that when you see their statistic of unemployment, you'll discover are people that are not interested in doing any job. Because sometimes Arabs behave like that. Some will say, I'm not interested in doing any work. So they are inactive, even though they are within the working age population. Working age population differs from country to country. However, the general is from the age of 15 to 64. 15 to 64. Anyone who finds himself within this age bracket is within the working age population. This is in Africa. Go to Europe. There are so many examples in the United Kingdom, in France, in Finland, even in Switzerland. Switzerland, based on the World Economic Forum report in 2022, Switzerland has the highest and most skilled workers globally. And World Economic Forum is the leading influential economic forum globally, which was established by Professor Klaus Schwab, the founder and chairman. He only resigned from the position 2 months ago. He resigned voluntarily. I had several engagements with him personally. What is the model of Switzerland? Switzerland is all about providing vocational and skills training for their citizens. They have what they call dual education. Dual education. You will be enrolled in school. However, that is not sufficient. When you go to school in the morning, in the afternoon, you must go to a company and work. In school, you learn theoretically. In the company, you get hands-on training. So trying to bridge the gap between theory and practice. It is because of this, as of 2022, the unemployment rate of Switzerland was only 2.4%. Because of what they call dual education. And after your secondary education, you can make your choice. either to proceed with higher education or to get advanced certification in vocational training so that you can become an employer automatically. More than half of their population, the second one is their priority. After their secondary education, they switched that. But in Nigeria today, we are so much addicted with degrees, including my humble self. I'm not exonerating myself. This is our upbringing here. You have to get degree. After degree, they say you should go higher and get a higher degree. After MSc, they say, so why not PhD? We have many PhD holders that are unemployed. And unfortunately, some are unemployable. After your PhD, the day you graduate from your PhD, in that area of your research, you are the global expert. You are the #1 global expert the day you graduate. How can a PhD holder is more interested in becoming a potential employee rather than a potential employer? Someone who happens to be the global expert in that area, #1, out of 8.2 billion people in the world, you are #1. But still yet you are updating your CV roaming about. Unfortunately, I'm also inclusive. Because after my graduation, I returned to university in Nigeria before I was employed by Saudi government. This is the situation. Why? This is our upbringing. That is why we need to change our mindset. There are more opportunities outside government employment than in government employment. Usually when you are in government employment, it's only to get your meal ticket and continue to struggle. The highest you can attain is to attain a moderate living condition. But if you are looking for money, absolutely is in the private sector. It's in being an employer, not employee. That is just the reality. In the private sector, being an entrepreneur, being an employer, within a month, if Allah blesses your business or your struggle, you could get within a month more than the entire package of an employee from the day he steps in to the time he retires at the age of 60, 65 or 70. That is the reality. From working under government at all. But we must agree that life is division of labor. Some can be in government, some can be in agriculture, some can be in private sector, some can be entrepreneurs. So we have to agree that life is nothing but a division of labor. There is no single system that can accommodate all. So you have to get ready to the extent that after your graduation, with or without employment, you could be able to live. And have a stable life is very important. So this is the Swiss model. And today, the highest in the last 20 years, the highest unemployment rate they attained was only 4%. This is a model. Let us go to the US where His Excellency attended for his degree and MSc. Take, for example, Silicon Valley. Silicon Valley is just a community in the southern part of San Francisco in the United States of America. It was coined as Silicon Valley by Don Hoffler. The name was not Silicon Valley. One of the leading innovators by name Don Hoffler coined the name as Silicon Valley because at that time there were some startups, small companies that were using silicon chips to produce semiconductors. Using silicon chips to produce semiconductors. So he used the word silicon, and the place was a valley. So he attached the word silicon to that valley, and the name became Silicon Valley. Silicon Valley is being considered as the global innovation capital, the innovation capital of the world. Because if you look at most of our tech giants that excel in innovation are in Silicon Valley, like Apple company, like Meta, the mother company of Facebook, WhatsApp, and Instagram, Silicon Valley, like Amazon is Silicon Valley, Google company, all of them are in Silicon Valley. So Silicon Valley produces people like Elon Musk, people like Steve Jobs, people like Jeffrey Bezos, among others. They are all products of Silicon Valley. According to the International Monetary Fund, in 2018, if Silicon Valley were a country, based on GDP per head, GDP per capita, it will be number one in the world, ahead of Luxembourg and Singapore. Because Luxembourg, up to this moment, is number one in GDP per head. Their GDP per head is approximately 112,000 USD. Averagely is their per head. When you divide their GDP collectively with their total population, you will find an average of 112, sometimes up to 118,000 USD, US dollars. So if Silicon Valley were to be a country, it will be number one in GDP per head, because the GDP of Silicon Valley in San Francisco under California will be a minimum of 128,000 USD. So you can see it is even higher than that of Luxembourg, Singapore, and Qatar. Why? Because of the way and manner they promote innovation, skills development, among others. If you go to Silicon Valley, I visited Silicon Valley several times, and if you go and engage, you will discover that the best model they use, firstly, is to promote government, industry, and academia partnership. Government, industry, and academia. There is an interwoven, constant interaction between government, academia, and industry. But today, unfortunately, some of us in government do not care about what is happening in the industry or in academia. In academia, I am one of you. As academics, sometimes we consider people in government as our enemies. While industry today, because of the lack of ease of doing business, lack of enabling environment, and there is no constant interaction between government and industry, you will discover that we come up with so many policies that are frustrating the industry. While there is no country that will develop without the private sector, it's practically not possible. A country like Nigeria, our entire economy is a private sector economy. If you look at our national aggregate demand, all the 36 states in Nigeria plus federal government, we are contributing less than 9% to our national aggregate demand. More than 91% is being contributed by the private sector. So the economy entirely is a private sector economy. If there is no constant interaction, how can the government provide the enabling environment for the private sector? Government should not come up with any policies without engaging the private sector. Let them sit down and engage and agree on how this can be implemented. If the environment is hostile, there is going to be a very poor economy, unemployment, unemployability, among others. Sit down, Your Excellency. Sit down, Your Excellency. So it is important to adopt this model, government, industry, and academia relationship. Government should provide the enabling environment, come up with policies that are friendly to the private sector. attract more investors. Regulatory bodies should be very flexible. No regulatory instrument should be static. It must be flexible. As long as it will bring situation, we must make it flexible. That is why, while I was the DG in NIDA, I inherited that their regulatory instrument could only be amended. We had to review and come up with a new rule-making process. As long as private sector is frustrated with our regulatory instrument, it can be amended within 24 hours. Because regulators are supposed to promote development. Regulators are supposed to provide enabling environment for the private sector and to protect consumers. When regulators view themselves like they are an opponent to the private sector, then the aim of establishing them has been defeated. Regulators are not supposed to behave like they are judges. They are supposed to behave as friends, enabling environment providers. That is how they should behave, and this is indeed very important. And this is the most important model of Silicon Valley. Number two, mindset. They completely changed the mindset of their population and all those who are being trained there. Because all what we are doing, if we fail to change the mindset of our youth, that aim will be defeated. Many of our youth, when you engage them and advise them on the difficulty of navigating the challenges of life before they become successful, they will consider like you are their enemy. They are no more interested in the difficulties of life. They just want to attain success on the platter of gold. That is just the target. Any person you see is successful. If you go through history, he suffered. And we must embrace that. And one of the major reasons that our youth argue, through the inception of democracy in Nigeria in 1999, democracy produced many uneducated and untrained millionaires. Someone who campaigns, join a team, work with His Excellency, and His Excellency wins his election. If there is no judicious management of resources, and there is no accountability and transparency, somebody without completing secondary education within 2 years, he will build a mansion in GRA. He becomes an SA or SSA. You will see his family members in Dubai, London, sharing their images on Instagram, paying Hajj seats for some people, 3 or 4 or 5 around. So this is a challenge to our mindset. Most of our youth today are not interested in navigating the challenges of life through hardship. They just want you to give them easier path to become successful. There is no harm in producing millionaires and even billionaires. If each and every Nigerian will become a billionaire, wallahi, I could be among the most happiest people. The people living in a good condition. However, we must change their mindset to know the difficulty of life before they attain success. It's very important. It is indeed very important. That is why you will discover we have a common adage saying that what you get from inheritance has no blessing. It is not true. Whatever you inherit from your father or mother is blessed. But the major challenge, people that get this inheritance, their share of inheritance, they don't know the difficulty that their father had gone through to accumulate this wealth. When it is given to them without knowing the difficulty, within possible time, they will destroy everything. So that is why if you give money to someone who doesn't know how to acquire it, mostly he will find it difficult to know how to manage it. So changing the mindset of our youth is very important. It's good to be organizing programs like here. Invite people that are successful in life. Let them come and talk to our population about the difficulty of life before they find themselves where they are today. If you can speak with His Excellency the Governor to tell you how he suffered while growing up, some of us here could even lose hope about success in life. But unfortunately, we are not interested. That is why we cannot change the mindset except through mentorship. People that are successful should always come back home and speak with our younger ones. When you see me in that position, it's not just one day I wake up and I find myself there. No, it is not being done like that. Let them understand the difficulty and the challenges of life. Let them persevere and remain steadfast. Because success begets success. So it is important to accept the fact that we can be successful, but there are some stages and mentorship that we must go through. One of the most important training in Silicon Valley is what they call teaching young innovators how to embrace failure. In Silicon Valley, failure is not opposite to success. Failure is the foundation of success. When you fail once, you fail twice, you are only building the foundation. Maybe on the third time, you could be successful. Many people in business, they start, they fail, they restart and fail, they restart and fail until they are successful. Many people in academia is the same. It is important to embrace failure, that when you fail once, it's not the end of your life. Try again. Try again until you are successful. That is why they organize a conference they call FailCon, meaning fail conference. How to train people to accommodate and be happy with failure. When you fail once, improve. Try for the second time. Try for the third time. And it is important. But unfortunately, without changing the mindset, when we fail once, then we resign. We withdraw. It shouldn't be like this. Keep on trying until you are successful, whether in business or in farming or in education or in entrepreneurship, in your application. Jack Ma, the founder of Alibaba, was the richest person in China with a population of 1.4 billion people. He said that he applied to a university and they rejected him 10 times. And he kept on repeating until he was admitted. Try to improve after every year before he was admitted. It is important. When you come up with a company, usually the success rate of startups mostly is not up to 10%. When 100 people tried, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 could be successful. Keep on trying. You could be in the next batch. Mindset is important. Number 3, access to funding. In Silicon Valley, when you come up with an excellent innovation, you will discover there are many companies there that are interested in investing in your company. They are interested to invest. A simple example of Lebanese Britain, Syrian Britain guy by name Mustafa Suleiman. He attended a university, he's less than 40 years to date, or around 40 maximum. He attended a university in the UK. He started his education. At the end, he was dropped out. He couldn't lose hope. Then he established his own company, working on artificial intelligence. After a few years, he was contacted by Microsoft company. They purchased that startup at the price of 400 million USD. 400 million USD. And this is a startup established by a dropout student from a university. And after a year, Microsoft Corporation in Seattle in the US contacted him. And they appointed him as their global CEO of Microsoft Artificial Intelligence Company. And he couldn't obtain his degree. And today he is the global CEO. And under him, there are several professors and PhD holders like you and I. Success in life is not just a one lane. There are many lanes, and it is important to admit. And finally, the last example, let me bring Shenzhen in China. Shenzhen is another example of Silicon Valley, and Shenzhen today is being recognized as the global hardware capital of the world. Global hardware capital is the global hardware capital. And according to the World Economic Forum and other institutions, more than 90% of the global hardware being used in electronics are being manufactured in Shenzhen, China. More than 90% of our global demand are being manufactured there. And even 2 days ago, the president of the US, Donald Trump, announced that Apple must bring their manufacturing plant to the USA. Otherwise, they will increase their tax to 25%. Why? Because the manufacturing plant is there, not in the US. What is special about Shenzhen? What is special about Shenzhen? Number one is speed. If we are talking about high speed of delivery, we call it Shenzhen speed. What is being produced in other parts of the world in 6 months? When there is an agreement in Shenzhen, they can produce in 6 days. 6 days is the capital of Huawei, the capital of ZTE. Many global giants are there in Shenzhen. It is a fishing area, but today they are producing more than 90% of our hardware electronics globally. Speed, innovation, affordable price. These are some of the features of Shenzhen city. When they were building the city, they built what they call Gomao building. It's 53 floors, very big building, 53 floors. They achieved it within 32 months. The entire building. Some floors were built within only 3 days from start to finish, and they moved to the next one. In 3 days. Shenzhen speed, this lecture theater, everything can be done in 3 days if you give them. They can do it in 3 days. When Steve Jobs announced the launching of their iPhone, and only 1 month to the launch, he discovered that there was a major mistake. And that mistake required to change the entire glass screen and produce new one. And they had to do that within 1 month and distribute it globally. Otherwise, it will affect the reputation of their company. What they did, he contacted many companies in the US. They say the shortest possible time is 6 months. He reached out to Shenzhen with an agreement. They say we can deliver in 30 days. And he gave them, and they delivered in 27 days to all their locations. Speed means a lot. This lecture theater, you see, with their approach from start to finish, they can do it in 3 days. Everything can be done in 3 days. So, and this is what they achieved. The way they achieved this, China was not part of Industry 1.0, was not part of Industry 2.0. They were not part of Industry 3.0. Only Japan and Australia joined Industry 3.0. They only excelled in Industry 4.0 that we are witnessing today. And interestingly, they are in the forefront. Look at the way they excel in artificial intelligence, blockchain technology, Internet of Things, augmented reality, virtual reality, nanotechnology, biotechnology, cybersecurity, and others. And now they are competing with countries that have over 1,000 years of civilization and advancement. And in most cases, they are leading. So it is important to realize this. Most of the people coming to China to work in our road construction, buildings, most of them did not even complete their secondary education. Out of 50 of them, you can hardly get one with a degree. But since we are addicted to white people, when you see them, you can greet them, sir. But certificate-wise, you are more educated than all of them. But when it comes to practical work, you will discover they are by far better than your PhD holders and professors, unfortunately. Unfortunately. If you sometimes say, let me patronize the local content, even the agreement, they will not respect it. I compel someone to patronize a local company in northern Nigeria in doing certain projects. They did less than 50%, they left the work. He had to use his personal money to complete the project. Unfortunately, this is our situation. So it is important to prioritize vocational training, skills development. And my conclusion, when it comes to economic development, we should focus more on number one, economic diversification. Let us make sure that our resources that we are blessed with, we refine them here. We manufacture what we need here. Manufacturing is key. Part of diversification, I encourage us to go into smart or digital agriculture. Is essential for our economy. We must try to prioritize our industries. Let us revive our industries, even through giving them tax holiday, among others. Number two, economic infrastructure. When we are building infrastructure, our priority should be economic infrastructure. Infrastructure that can bring more to our economy. When I need an office of maybe 4 by 4 meters, and I ended up building an office 20 by 20 meters, the way we are so much addicted to very big offices, the maintenance, firstly, in building that, there is not any economic benefit. Secondly, the maintenance will be difficult, because instead of using a small AC, you will use central ACs, 2 or 3 or 4 of them. So that is why we should learn the culture of using small environment in building offices. Let us make sure that our huge investment in infrastructure should go to things that can bring more economic benefits, like telecommunications, like roads, like transportation. We have to prioritize. If we want to invest this, what are the economic benefits? This is indeed very important. If this institution needs only 50 offices and they built 150, there is not any wisdom in doing that. If 2 of us can share an office and we say, no, we must maintain one offices, there is no economic benefit there. So sometimes we have to look at the implication. If I need 2-bedroom flat and I ended up building 5-bedroom flat, there is no economic benefit at that time. Sometimes you have to increment it according to your need. But unfortunately, go to countries like the US, you can see people like Warren Buffett living in a 4-bedroom flat or 5-bedroom flat. You can see there is no any fence outside. He can only park his car outside and enter into it. And the room is not more than 4 by 4 or 5 by 5 meters. But here you just begin your business, you are just a small millionaire in Naira, not in Riyadh or dollars. You started building a very big house, 5,000 square meters, that you want to be respected. And after that, immediately, without attaining it, you are interested in traditional titles. You are this, you are that, you are, okay, I am Majida in Dawla Usmaniya. So, we have to increment our family according to what we can afford to. Education for our children is mandatory. Their upbringing is mandatory. Their health is mandatory. Their feeding is mandatory. Their shelter is mandatory. If you cannot take care of 2 wives, have 1. Until Allah provides for you to take 2, 3, or 4. We have to respect that. Number 3, which is also very important, is the private sector development and protection. We have to ensure we develop the private sector by introducing so many policies that can provide the enabling environment required by the private sector, flexible regulatory instruments, tax holidays, pioneer status, among others. They are important. Make the environment to be very friendly so that we can attract more and more foreign direct investment into our country. Through this, we will create many jobs, economic development, among others. You will discover today the highest contributor to our government economy is the private sector, through collecting tax, VAT and others. Without this, there is no way even salary is going to be paid in Nigeria. So providing the enabling environment for the private sector is not an optional. It's not just a necessity, but an obligation. It's not an optional. It is necessary that we must do that in our state at the federal level. Whatever the private sector is interested, as long as there is win-win situation, let us provide it. And sometimes it is not necessary that you start benefiting from them at the initial stage. Allow the sector to grow. When they grow, the profit will come to you automatically. But you cannot, somebody invest $100 million and immediately you introduce 20 categories of tax. There is no way he can sustain it. So you have to allow the business to grow before you think of how you can benefit. Ordinarily, without getting one kobo from private sector, as long as our citizens are employed by the private sector, so by implication, we are the major beneficiaries. Just by employing them only. Skills development. We have to prioritize STEM education. Science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Not STEM education theoretically, but we have to do that practically. Like MIT model in the US or Indian Institute of Technology in India, where we provide technical training. Similar to the initiative of Wing Commander Abdullahi here in Nasarawa and equipping this polytechnic. So STEM education should not be theoretical. It must be through practice. Number two in skills development, which is very important, is we have to promote lifelong learning. The dynamic nature of a modern work environment, as long as you stop learning, you will absolutely expire. You will expire. Irrespective of your profession, as long as you are not learning, after some years you will discover that you have expired. You have to remain and partake in long life learning. You have to continue learning, improving your knowledge in your area, learning new skills about your expertise and your profession is very important. Without long life learning, there is no way one will be successful. And this is lack of long life learning destroyed many tech companies globally. 20 years ago, which phone was more popular in Nigeria and globally? Nokia, Ericsson, Motorola. Where are they today? Because of lack of long life learning. If you are successful and you go to sleep, before you wake up, somebody is ahead of you. So it is difficult, it is more difficult to retain success than to attain it. Retaining success when it comes to economy is more difficult than attaining it. And why Apple and Samsung have been very successful? Because of long life learning. They partake in what we call exploration rather than exploitation. They provide what you need before you realize that you need it. You have uncountable number of applications on your phone. I was having a discussion with the governor. He was, before coming here, he was explaining the dynamic nature of our technological advancement globally. He was saying his 6-year-old child manipulates his telephone more than the way he does it. And I just laugh. It's not only to him, including us, that we are training our children. They master the applications more than us. Why? Because they are digital natives. But in our own case, we had to switch from manual to analog to digital. That was the situation. And it was not easy. Our children, their brains are empty, but when it comes to our situation, you are thinking of how to put food on their tables, their school fees, how to look after their upbringing. You have meetings there, so you have no time. Your telephone, you only react to it when there is need. You don't take telephone when you don't need it. Only when you want to make a call, okay, where is my phone? But in their own case, while eating, they are on their tablets. My son, at the age of 5, taught me that even if you have a password on your screen, you can still navigate through and use your camera without knowing the password. You can only do this. Nobody taught me this through my BTech computer science, MSc computer science, MBA, PhD. But he told me that I don't even need your password, Abba. I can use your telephone and have video or pictures with it. I say, how can you do? And he did. And I learned from him. Because he is a digital native. But our own, we had to go through transformation. The first time I saw computer with my naked eyes, if I could recall vividly, it was in my secondary school class 6. But in their own case, even before their nursery education, there are smartphones and by implication, there are computers. So we have to make sure that as part of long life learning, our children make use of digital device for the good, not for the evil. Because these devices are double-edged sword. They could be used for good and for evil. Let us make sure we train our children to use them for good. That the way today, if you look at it globally, many people are using social media for monetization. But unfortunately, most of our youth in northern Nigeria, they are using it for blackmail. Cristiano Ronaldo, while in Juventus as a footballer, what he was getting through monetization of his Instagram account was higher than his entire salary and allowances in Juventus Football Club. Only Instagram, not X or Facebook. He was being paid up to 10 million USD per post. Monetization. And you have never seen him blackmailing somebody. But today in Nigeria, somebody can even record your voice without your knowledge, while having conversation with your wife or with your friend. And he will come and say, tomorrow there is an update. He wants to blackmail you. It's an update. He will even announce it. And he knows many religious injunctions about even recording people conversation without their knowledge. That you will end up in the hellfire if care is not taken, but he will announce there is an update. Sometimes it's a Photoshop. He will capture a governor, attach his picture with another female, naked, and he will say, we have captured another, tomorrow there is an update. 10 a.m. And you will see 2,000 comments before the update. Unfortunately, that is our problem. We are using these technologies for evil, not for good. Instead of your followers to monetize for advertisement, sometimes somebody can concoct something and say, you either give me this money or I blackmail you. It's just a blackmail. There is no way a nation will be successful with this mindset. It shouldn't be like this. Some of our major challenges that we must address, number one, is funding. Funding for our vocational centers, for vocational education and skills are not sufficient in Nigeria. We need to increase funding, not only funding for theory, for practice. We must equip our polytechnics, our colleges, and our universities to training and retraining of our academics and other experts. Because the model we want to implement, most of our academics could not be able to deliver the content the way we want it to be delivered. It is important that we begin by training the trainers. Number 3 challenge is corruption. It's one of our major challenges. Many people fail to realize that serving in public office is a burden, is a responsibility, is a trust. They consider it as a privilege to siphon and to loot. Only few government officials remember that there is a day that is called the Day of Judgment, where we will account for our actions, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I want to commend HE for always reminding himself that he knows that he will stand before Allah and account for all his actions. This is indeed very important. This is what is called self-assessment, self-evaluation, self-criticism, and self-judgment. And it is indeed very important. So it is not only for the governor, for each and every one of us. No matter how insignificant that responsibility is, we will account for it before our Creator. No matter how insignificant. As simple as being a cleaner, you will account for that. Not to talk of a class teacher, where you humanize your students. You threat them. You are even threatening your students, either to submit themselves or to fail your examination. Teacher is supposed to be like a father. Your students are nothing but a trust under your custody. We have to train our students as our children, our biological children. Have a look at it carefully. Someone responsible enough brings his daughter to you to teach her, and you are reaching out to her privately, requesting her to submit herself to you because of your exam. It's unfortunate. It's most unfortunate. We betray our trust, but we sit down criticizing other leaders. It's unfortunate. One of the challenges is our mindset. We have to change our mindset, as earlier mentioned, and we have to prioritize 3 skills. Number 1 is social skills. Number 2, soft skills. Number 3 is technical skills. These 3 are important. Social skills, even how to communicate and interact with others. Some of our graduates, they don't even know the basic words of communicating with their leaders. Even simple words on how to address leaders, they don't know how to use them. Simple word, thank you, they don't know. Can I help you, sir? They don't know. They don't even know. So even communication and interaction is difficult. Some, when they are elevated, they don't have communication skill and interaction skills. They behave like they are angels. Soft skills like critical thinking, complex problem solving, thinking out of the box, teamwork, among others, are critical. Then technical skills, the hands-on training. These are some of the things that we must prioritize them. Otherwise, Africa will continue to lag behind. Your Excellency, we honor you, we celebrate you, and we pray to the Almighty to continue to take us to greater heights. Permit me to shut down the presentation here. I have not been notified to shut down, but I believe I spoke for more than 1 hour 20 to 25 minutes, 1 hour 30 minutes. I think it's enough, because I know His Excellency has so many files, both in hard copy and in soft copy in his office. And it is good for us to permit him to go and clear his decks. Thank you very much for listening. May the Almighty bless Nasarawa State. May the Almighty bless Gombe State. And may the Almighty bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And may the Almighty continue to bless our friend and brother, His Excellency Abdullahi A. Sule. Thank you, Excellency. 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 Thank you, Excellency.
Your Excellencies.
Thank you, thank you.
Can we give
Thank you.
for such a compelling, for such a gripping, for such an engrossing, for such a riveting, for such an insightful, for such an inspiring lecture, public lecture, the maiden of its kind, in honor of His Excellency by the one, the only Professor Isa Ali Ibrahim Pantami. Nasarawa State is honored, we're humbled, we're thankful that indeed today, when His Excellency, 2 months after becoming governor in 2019, said at the LAFIA Square that he fears when he will stand before Almighty Allah and account for his stewardship. A lot of people, especially my journalist friends, said, this man is not a politician. I'm sure it was a slip of tongue, he wouldn't say it again. 3 months later, he said, in the last 6 years, he has said it over 15 or 20 times. Every time he says, today it is being explained that indeed, whatever you do, you must set a highest standard of moral pedigree for yourself. And everything His Excellency has done has been on the basis of a trajectory. When he said, look, there should be Faculty of Engineering in Nasarawa State University. When even the College of Agriculture here became College of Agriculture, Science and Technology. When, you know, the Wing Commander Abdullah Ibrahim Institute and Technology Institute, when he broadened the scope, brought in top-tier vocational skills. In fact, when he began with the 6 vocational relevant tech centers, you know, moving the one from Asakio, upgrading them, and everyone thought this is all by mistake. No, it wasn't. It isn't. It hasn't been. There has been a chronological, deliberate intention by His Excellency to lead these people. 13,000 hectares of land, guest speaker, is the land in Burkukabusu in Abuja, just behind Mpape. 13,000 is larger than the city of Paris, is larger than Geneva. It is 10 times the size of Guarimpa. His Excellency is looking towards an industrial city there. And we already have one which he has done. Nasarawa Technology Village. It is exactly the replica of Silicon Valley. This is basically someone explaining to you the vision of His Excellency. So when we say go and read the National Economic Development Strategy, don't stand on the basis of sentiment and contest for this office. Look at pedigree and look at vision. People say, you know, Esule is just breaking glass ceiling. No, he's changing the paradigm, and we're proud to have done that. It's been 6 years, and after that, any other person else should also try to. Yes, the Dangote refinery is 68,000 hectares in Tunga. It is the largest. It will give over 30% of, you know, it will feed the sugar industry. And when His Excellency prodded and pushed, and oil now is being drilled in Nasarawa State, all of these are components of vision. Today, as we begin the celebration of 6 years of Engineer Abdullahi Esule, we hope this illuminating, incisive, gripping, compelling, insightful, intellectually resonant lecture by none other than Professor Isa Ali Ibrahim Pantami, who spoke from his heart, will make us better understand Nasarawa State. You reach number 1. How do you retain it? His Excellency said from day 1, it is by exceeding all expectations. In everything you do, in your classroom, he said it is not a mantra or a slogan he has brought to Nasarawa State. It is a prayer that every citizen, wherever you are, should go beyond and above yourself. Learn more, retrain yourself. We'll play a video of 5 minutes before we'll call His Excellency, just to show you the mind of His Excellency in just this aspect of ICT and skills acquisition and the digital economy. But we want to say thank you so very much, our guest speaker. Again, a rousing round of applause. This has been a priceless lecture. Thank you. We're deeply honored. It is unforgettable.
When I was working in Houston, that's when information superhighway started becoming popular in the early 90s. That's where computers now started becoming popular. And while I was working for a company called Ibrahim is a company that makes software, in the oil and gas sector, because I spend most of the time in the oil sector. So when I was working there, I had the opportunity to go to school and to read more about computers, what they will do, what computers could do, and the rest of it. When number but we did a lot, as far as ensuring that we visualize most of our operations. We started with our phone to make sure that all our operations actually were visualized. Then we went into SAQ, and I was all part of the process as the CEO of the Northeast at the time. So coming back into governance, I came up with that mentality as well.
MUSTAPHA is an agency created by His Excellency AGWSI to development in the state and also state. Youth development is one of the key factors that in every state they are really spending huge amount of money in order to come up with a digital entrepreneurship for the young generation. But with the coming of His Excellency and to seeing the need behind this digital economy and also to see the need behind the ICT, we actually created this agency, and based on what agencies are doing, one, digital entrepreneurship initiatives, two, issue of the digital governance, three, issue of creating a community for cybersecurity. We have an academy that we built that we are creating this community. As of last year, AGWSI has helped in building more than 7,000 people in this community.
In Nigeria, I actually started ICT broadcasting on television. That was about 6 years ago. Now I've been to almost all the countries, attending ICT events, whether government, e-government, or private sector events and all that. The day we came to Nasarawa, what we saw is a build-up from bottom up. When you go to other states, what you see is up down. They will buy those computers and leave it to the directors and all that. But what I saw in Nasarawa State was, a very basic having access. Some of the bridges that we have to cross for ICT dissemination in Nigeria is ensuring that when there's access, there's affordability. Where in the places where there's affordability, there's no presence. Okay, but when you come to Nasarawa State, there is presence, there's affordability, and there's access.
To discuss the contribution of the technology and ICT, school certification, and technical education, and also specialists in our alma mater. Seeing with an exception, we have contributed generously, and that is why today we get to the professional we have made. Accounts of the courses there are purely technical, unlike the former we have.
I didn't read mechanical engineering. I didn't understand. I read mechanical technology because of the fact that it's more practical. So skill acquisition to me is key. Your certificate, if you find it very difficult to fit into that continuously I have with Professor Pantami. Pantami in fact has a book, that's skill more than education, which is that's why one of the first institutions that I established in the South was the wing commander of Ibrahim by the vocational and technical institute.
As someone who has a background in engineering, and someone who actually started working as a technician even before he became an engineer, and then he rose in the private sector with decades of world-class experience in business orientation. It became only fitting and natural for His Excellency AGWSI to be the one to see how the vast untapped potentials of Nasarawa State. And he realized from the onset that it is only through harnessing ICT and skills acquisition that sustainable development, enduring wealth and prosperity can be secured for Nasarawa State.
We have worked very closely with NIFDA since the period of Professor Pantami when he was admitted. And now period of Inua also we have been working a lot with them. In fact, part of their training is with them here. We had a program where we trained our own primary school teachers and secondary school teachers that we are given a laptop each after the training in order for them to understand, the importance of digital technology. So those are the kinds of things that we are doing in education.
It's my single honor and privilege to now invite His Excellency Engineer AGWSI, seeing the way, showing the way, leading the way.
The Right Honorable Speaker of Nasarawa State House of Assembly, Honorable Alladi Jatau, and Honorable Solomon Akwashiki, representing the LAFIA Central. Our digital guest speaker, Professor Isa Ali Ibrahim Pantami, CON. I will leave those titles on the side for the President to actually mention. Your own family who is here with us, and other members of your own delegation. The Honorable Commissioner, Special Advisor, Science and Tech, the Permanent Secretaries, Heads of Tertiary Institutions, all who are here, and agencies, our dear President of the Alumni and all your members, our dear students, distinguished invited guests, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Chairman of the Alumni, when you came to my office and told me that you had invited Professor Pantami to come for this event, I was actually doubting because I know if you call him, if he's coming, he will let me know. But when you told me he was coming, even I didn't believe you, because as at the time, I had not spoken with him. Today, right here, all of you here, you don't even know what you have actually gained from. You have gained from a lecture that usually is presented at Davos, at the World Economic Forum. All the lectures being delivered at the World Economic Forum at Davos are not bigger than this. You have received the biggest of this kind of lectures right now. And this is a lecture that CEOs, leaders worldwide, the people from the same areas that he has mentioned, Silicon Valley and co, usually pay a lot of money to go and stay in the cold, very, very cold weather to listen to. That is what you have gained free of charge today, right here. And I want to ask, I hope the television stations have recorded word by word this lecture so that we can do our other citizens of Nasarawa State a favor to ensure that we sponsor it as a government so it can be played at least for 2 days so people will get to learn from what we have been presented. When you informed me earlier that you wanted this event inside Government House, I said no because I wanted the students to hear from him. I wish we have more number of students here than what we have in here. But I wanted the entire students, the entire alumni, the rector and other members of staff to have the opportunity to hear from him and to learn from him. But I don't think it's too late. As I said, we are willing to sponsor this particular lecture to be aired both on our own station of MBS as well as the NTA here, so that our people in Nasarawa State should be able to learn. I join all of you in welcoming him to Nasarawa State. And I have listened to him speak many times. And I knew he was not going to read a speech. He was going to read directly from the heart to tell you this is the kind of speeches that are usually people have to pay millions of dollars to have. And I have had sections of some of these lectures that he did many times from him. But I've never had the complete story until today. So I'm so happy, and I'm also more learned today about what he did. In fact, when you told me he was coming, I was happy for two reasons. And I said, depending on what you are going to get today, we keep introducing him as professor. But we are not looking at his other cap. He is also Al-Sheikh. And that other cap guides him, molds him, trains him, which is the background for the fear of the Almighty Allah, that he will stand here and tell you the truth from his heart. Because he's not afraid of telling you, he's more afraid of the Almighty Allah. And so whatever you heard from him today, you have not paid him for that. He is not expecting any payment from you for that. He has just told you, this person, the responsibility that God Almighty had bestowed on him. God has given him knowledge. And one of the questions that God Almighty will ask him, did you use that knowledge properly? So today, you can confirm that he has actually imparted that knowledge to us, and that's what he's supposed to do, so he has accepted that order. So these are the issues that I'm happy today that you all receive and you all got. I want to appreciate him because he had to change his schedule many times just to accommodate this trip. And he had to come yesterday, for him to be part of this. That's how much respect he has for Nasarawa State, he has for me, and he has for leaders of this state. And this is something I'm not taking for granted. I want to appreciate you, I want to appreciate you, I want to appreciate you, sir. You have already listened to the insightful lecture about building, which actually he modified your topic about digital economy. And you have had more than just digital economy. What about your children, the upbringing, responsibilities of us as individuals, having skill other than just certificate. You have heard about it. I read the book, and I urge every one of you to read the book. Because when you read, then it will remind you some of the things you had today, and even more. So I want to thank him, in fact, for writing that. Now, from my background, you can see why I continue to promote skill acquisition. He mentioned that a lot of us successful, those who were not with us, didn't know what we went through. The reason why I must show appreciation to my Almighty Allah for bringing me up to where I am, is for me to be able to remind people what I went through and to see what they can do in order for them to gain and even gain better than I have gained. I didn't have the opportunity of listening to this kind of lectures before I went through the road. You have the advantage now. All of you know I grew up in this small place called Goody Station, which was a very village, but it's a very big city now. So, going through, wouldn't have had the opportunity actually of even going to obtain Western education at all, if not for the Catholics. The Catholics were the ones that built only two schools, the Roman Catholic Mission RCM that I went and the CMS, were the only schools we had. And Studying and understanding the Bible was compulsory for me because you were going to that school. And it ended up being a great advantage. You know, because sometimes you don't know what you are going through until later on it turns out to be what it is. He mentioned I actually went to Government Technical College, Bukur. At the time, Government Technical College, Bukur, what you will learn from there practically, from what I see, even by US standard, is not any different from what you will learn, believe me, today, even in a Japan Technical University. Because those days were the days where everything we needed were there. The school was built by the British. Our principal was a Briton. All the machines we needed, all kinds of welding machines, shielded metal arc, auxiliary flame, tungsten inert gas, you know, everything that you needed were there. All kinds of electrodes that you needed. In the machine shop, all kinds of equipment that we needed were there. Lead machines, vertical drilling machines, sewing machines, everything that we needed were there. And you go to the class, the practical part, 3 days. No theory. You go to the theory only the last 2 days of Thursday and Friday. And those ones were to learn English, chemistry, physics, and mathematics. They were the only 4 subjects we were learning. Otherwise, everything else was practical. As a result, at the time we were writing the City and Guilds of London Institute, before even they started WAEC. WAEC didn't come until 1980, WAEC Technical. 1970 something, all the way to 79 was City and Guilds of London Institute. That was the exam. So there was no cheating, there was no the problem that you are having today. If you pass, you pass. If you fail, you fail. No two ways about it. And that's the issue. So by finishing from there in 80, going to the Polytechnic slightly, I was already skilled enough to be an employer in the area of machining, fitting, and welding. And so going to America, to go to Indiana State University was a little bit easier. And I started seeing the benefit because I went from Plateau State. There was no Nasarawa then. Plateau State was purely a state under the control of MPP. The center was MPM, and we were facing the big challenges. Our scholarship was not coming. Solomon Lad was our governor. And once there was no money in America, they kick you out of the hostel. So that's when my welding background now worked. I had to go and get a job with Alcoa. So I was welding in the night and going to school during the day. Most of the students that actually had no skill to get any job, I was paid only $3.75 an hour, but I will work 10 hours so that I will get $37 in the night. And you rush early in the morning to go to class. This is what we had to go through. $37 was what you will get all night, no sleep. My son now will ask me for $2,000. Those are the problems that we had to go through. But you see, that's the advantage. And so instead of graduating in 4 years, I graduated in 3 years. And I used the opportunity of my 1 year to go ahead and acquire my master's degree. Majority couldn't even get the degree in the entire 4 years because they couldn't go to school. Once you can't go to school, they will not stop you from taking classes, but once you don't have a place to stay, that's the end of the road. So those were the challenges. So I urge you to pick skill acquisition seriously. He mentioned about coming back what we went through in Dangote. As a matter of fact, since I couldn't get a place to stay and my $37 a night couldn't pay rent, I now had to go back. And Indiana, where I went to school, is 99.9% Christians. And out of the 99.9% Christians, over 95% Catholic. So that's a wonderful thing for me. So I now saw a parish. I went to the parish and I told the Reverend Father, I say, sir, they say you have so many classes where you give to Christians to stay and then to work for the church. I'm a Muslim, I'm willing to stay. He say, you're a Muslim? I say, yeah. You want to stay here? I say, yeah. Reverend Father Dave. He said, but do you know anything about Christianity? I say, yes. I'm very, very good at the 4 Gospels of the New Testament, the Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And I also understand the Old Testament all the way from Genesis to Psalms. He said, really? I said, okay, you can come in. So what we will do is that after church services and everything, we will clean the compound and everything. That's part of my thing. And after he enjoyed me, he now say, okay, you know what, Abdul, say, yeah, you are entitled to 1 meal. You can be joining us for dinner. I say, thank you, sir. So I will have dinner with them. And every dinner will come and then they will pray. And then inside, quietly, I will say, Bismillah, and then I will eat my own. They already knew I didn't eat pork. And to be honest with you, he was the one that I asked him, I said, that time there was nothing to show you direction of prayer. So I asked him. He said, no, that's the direction. And he went and bought a mat for me, a carpet for me. And he said, you now pray. This is your direction of prayer. So you pray. And he never stopped me from prayer in the church, but in the housing estate of the church. Never stopped me. You know, so that's what I went through until I finished, I graduated and came back. And I always tell this drama because one day he said, Abdul, every day they pray for us. Don't you guys pray? I said, we do, sir. What do you pray? I said, we say, Bismillah ar-Rahman. What's that? He said, well, you say in the name of Allah, who is God, the most gracious, the most... I said, that's it? I said, yeah, that's it. Don't you know any Christian prayer? I say, of course I do. He said, okay, today, pray for us so we can eat. I say, our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. He said, Abdul, that's too long a prayer for us. We are hungry, we want to eat. Abdul, stop. Just simple prayer. I said, I did the simple prayer, Bismillah ar-Rahman. He said, that's why I have to do this. You know, so it's very important, okay, actually for us to do whatever it is, whatever situation you go through. I only said about all this because of exactly what Professor Pantami mentioned, you know, about you don't know the challenges that people have gone through to be where they are. You don't know the challenge that he had to go through, going through a Quranic school to be where he is today. Because all you see is a minister, you know, CEO of Midda or this and that. Look at the Al-Majri side of what he had to go through of the Quranic school. Those are the things that molded him. And that's why I wanted the students to hear from him so they will know the successes he has attained today is as a result of the obedience that he has, the character, the knowledge, the learning, the hardship that you have to go through to be where we are. And today we are celebrating him. And there is none of you here, and I can bet, none of you here will not like to stand one day and deliver this kind of lecture. None. Because everyone had enjoyed the lecture, nobody was tired. And I love all the things he said about investment, because that's my background. I've been CEO of this, CEO of this, CEO of this, and you know the difficulties you go through with government. Today, I'm attracting so many companies that are coming for all kinds of mining. Next time you will hear one of the commissioners has gone, yeah, I shut down a site. I say, shutting down? Why are you shutting down the site? They didn't pay bills. I say, what did they? No, they didn't pay. I say, yeah, but how do you know? We will hear, with due respect, the speaker, that's why I'm happy the speaker is here. You know, members of the House of Assembly going to a site, an oversight function, they're shutting down the site. I said, no, we cannot do that. You will send the people away. They will be scared. We have to attract them. And he made a statement, the categorical one, the biggest opportunity we had, the biggest benefit we had, they have employed our people. Not just employing them, they are training them. I was in Dangote. When we started thinking about building a refinery, it was supposed to be originally just 350,000 barrels refinery. And it was even supposed to be in Ondo State. Government and community challenges made it to move from there to Lekki. The first day, we said we are now going to start with equipment. That's what the professor was talking about. We did not have the skilled welders, the skilled fitters, because nobody is going to allow you to take a distillation unit or a cracking unit that each one of them $10, $15 million and its other insurance. They will not allow you to take and give it to your brother or sister who doesn't have the skill. So they needed certified skilled technician and fitter. One swoop, we brought in 4,000 technicians into Nigeria. One time, 4,000 came at once. By the time I left the company, I was told later on that they had close to 9,000 that were they brought. This would have been Nigerians. This would have been citizens of Nasarawa State. And that's why when I came and said, this institution, the vocational and technical institution, we must have this type of people. So that one day, if we are building another one, we can now say, go to Nasarawa State, you can find those kind of certified technicians. That is the dream. You don't have to go to India. It's easier for him to come to Nasarawa than India. This morning, just this morning I woke up. I received a video message from my former boss, George Edwards, the former vice president of BP Amoco in the US, in Houston, Texas. The biggest facility with over 4,000 employees, again, at one spot of Amoco then, when BP bought us over. He sent me a video to congratulate me. And what is this video about? The video is about the Chinese government making a decision, a commitment now in China, that they are going to build an EV factory, electric vehicle factory, in Nigeria. And why are they building it? Because they have discovered huge potentials of lithium in Nigeria. And they mentioned 3 states. And the first state, they say the highest in Nasarawa State. I will send you the video, Prof. I think I sent it to you. I sent you the video. I will send you the speaker. That's the video he sent to me. So I woke up. When I was just watching the video, I got so excited. And he said, this is the reason why they are coming to do it. So they are looking for a place, one, with the greatest potential. They want to cut down the cost. When they come, where I visited China, I visited CATL. CATL is the biggest buyer and producer of electric motors batteries. Currently, they control 40% of the total market worldwide. I also visited Kamax. That is number 4 in the ranking of the biggest buyers of lithium. Only is the investors from here that took me there. They want to convince me to give them the good environment to work in Nasarawa State. So Nasarawa State didn't even pay for, you people didn't pay for this. And in order to give me comfort and make me convinced, they took me to a hotel in Shanghai, the tallest hotel in Shanghai. The buildings from 100, from 0 to 100, is several other offices and buildings. The hotel itself begins at floor 101. I have worked for oil companies, I've gone around the world, but I've never stayed in a room like that in my life. in my life. If I have money again, I will visit there. All this actually just to make it, is it possible for us to come to Nasarawa State? So you can imagine somebody who is willing to do that for you, and he comes, and you go and shut down his factory. That's why you don't know how excited I am when Prof brought about this aspect for us to understand, and that's why it will be played for our government agencies to understand. We're attracting investment. You don't want to scare them away. Communities, you don't want to scare communities away. You were here in Nasarawa State when a Chinese company just went to one small community with 3.5 CU, gave them 700 million naira and paid them for users of the land. You were here. So if a company is willing to pay that, then what is 10, 15 million naira for tax that they will not pay? But it depends on our approach, the way we go about it. That's why this video must be played and played again for the people of Nasarawa State. I want to conclude actually with the aspect of what is going on here at the Polytechnic. The Polytechnic means a lot to me. I know you people will not feel good if I come here and leave without at least saying something about this. I came because Professor Pantami is actually presenting it. I didn't come for this discussion, but I know if I leave without bringing it up, some of you will complain. Today, I believe in due process. I don't interfere with process of institutions. If you see me interfering, is to go and help them to get high impact for you. I go to TED Fund and plead. I go here and plead for you to get money for your projects. But how you allocate the contract, if any rector or any assistant rector or whatever you call them ever tell you that I ever said I'm sending a contractor to you for work or I'm doing that, is a bloody liar. I don't do that. I have not done that where we were given big contracts in Dangote, and I don't do that in government today, so I will not do that in your own small money here. I will not do that. So, what is happening, I want everything to go through the due process. I receive so many messages from you people about the school is suffering because we have no rector. The school is suffering. Are we here suffering now? So it is people who want to be rector that are actually pushing all this pressure, which is unnecessary. When I came as a governor, you didn't have a rector. I was the one that appointed an acting rector at the time. And when the acting rector went through interviews and was not good, I told them, well, I only appointed the person acting. If he's not good, get rid of the person, get what you want. They got a different person that I never even knew. I said, okay, I work with that person. When that new rector now, with the council that employed the rector, started having problems constantly, I spent 10 times meeting with them to solve the problem could not solve. I sacked both of them. Because I want to make sure we have peace in this institution and we have things going. Now, you have gone through your interview. I was not part of it. But we brought somebody who we believe as a VC of Federal University to be your chairman and to lead the interview. So I must give that person some level of respect to listen to what he has to say. And the person submitted the result. But the day he was submitting the result, I received again so many text messages from all of you, so many from you, that the result is not good. This one, oh, the result is good. This one is not good. This one is good. Like Professor said, social media. And I said, okay. Now, all the council members and the management, including the acting rector, come and see me. They came and saw me. And one item came up. And I needed to clear that item. So I received the file. So while in the process of clearing that item, I wrote to MBTE and say, MBTE, this is what came up during the meeting. I've never been a lecturer. I've never been around lecturing or teaching or management of institution or so. I have the manager of industries. So this is an item that came up. I want you to clarify. Before I could get the result back from that, the chairman who submitted this traveled and went to Saudi. And he traveled to on a journey that I cannot question. Because Hajj is a lifetime opportunity. So he went for Hajj. I said, okay. I cannot shave somebody's hair when in his absence, as they are saying. If I now take a decision based on input I have from MBTE, I will not be fair to this guy. So I said, Oga, when are you coming back from your Hajj? He said, right now I'm doing tawaf, this and that. Okay, you are doing tawaf, it's not the best time to talk. When you finish tawaf, call me. Finish tawaf, he called me. I said, sir, we have received our report from MBTE. When are you coming back? He said, you know it's Hajj. So after Hajj. I said, okay. I will not take a decision until you come back. Because I want to make that decision with you knowing this is what I know, this is what I was told, this is the confirmation from MBTE, this is what I'm getting. But instead of you to face skill acquisition like Professor is saying, face this, constantly you are writing. Oh, no, we have no rector, we have to take a decision. Oh, no. Which decision? You can't be patient enough for just few days for the man to come back? Haba. I'm pleading with you people, especially those who are seeking for this position. I know they are the ones mounting this pressure. Because you cannot allow 3 or 4 or 5 people to destroy your institution. And before I release the result, I will invite all those people first. And say, you see, it's like going for governor. So many people, like right now in Nasarawa State, we have 26 people who are running for governor. So far, 26. So, it's like running for governor in Nasarawa State. Only one person will get it. But let us not destroy the entire system just because I'm not getting it. It's not right. It's not proper. So you must be patient. It's not that they have stopped lectures because we have no rector. You have an acting rector. It's not that they are not doing any other thing. They are not giving you the food they need to give you, or they are collecting money, or this and that because there is no rector. You have an acting rector. So please, leave me alone. Let me also face other things. Okay? So wait for the gentleman to come back. The day he comes back, and me and him, this is what promise I will make to you. The day he comes back, I will display. I say, sir, what you told me, I had. What you asked me to do, I had. This is the information I have, and I'm taking my decision based on the facts available to me. This is all I'm trying to say. So I'm pleading with you, please to be patient. Because at the end of the day, like Professor Pantami said, one day I'm also going to stand in front of the Almighty, and between my Allah and myself, deep down inside me, I know what I'm taking. There is no bias about it. I'm taking it based on the facts presented to me. None of the people that you have as prospective rectors, none of them has anything to give me. None. And I'm not expecting. I'm not even expecting anything from, they don't even have anything anyway. So I'm not expecting anything from them. So this is the fact, this is the truth, and please, I want you to be patient based on that. I know finally your intention is to have I don't know whether you are having it another time for this particular alumni. No. Okay, another time. Okay, we are having it another time. Okay, all right, good. So my money is safe. Okay, thank you very much. No, they are having it. They are having another event. When are you going to raise the money for this? No. I'm asking. Okay, you can have it. No. You see, this is the problem we have. Okay? If you have not planned for something, don't rush yourself into it. Okay? If you are going to have a luncheon in order for you to build the alumni secretariat, here is not students that you need.